Hello and welcome to Arts and Baltimore Impact. I'm your host. My name is Renee West, and I am the CEO and founder of Alia School of Art, where we are impacting our community's social, emotional, physical, and spiritual needs through arts and education. Please connect with us online. You can reach us at our website at www.aliaschoolofart.com, or you can find us on social media. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Alia School of Art. We hope to hear from you soon. But today we have a very special guest. This guest is an artist and musician, and you want to hear what he has to say. So please like, share, repost, tag somebody, let somebody know we're in the room, because you don't want to miss what we're going to talk about today. So without further ado, welcome, Mr. William Echols. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. How about yourself?
I am doing excellent. I'm excited about this interview. I'm excited to hear more about what you're doing in the arts community and about your latest project.
Well, I look forward to talking about it. So, um, you know, ask away. Go for
Good, I will.
it.
Good. So, first things first, we have to know a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got started in the world of music.
Okay. Professionally, I work for McAfee, so that's my main bread and butter. But as far as musically is concerned, I've been playing keyboard off and on for probably about 20, 25 years or so. Um, Not classically trained or anything like that. I've basically picked up playing the piano by watching others, listening to music. Grew up listening to a lot of music on the radio, and that kind of formed kind of a basis. Besides also being a trombone player, so I was formerly trained in playing trombone, but didn't find that to be a creative instrument to be able to compose my own music on. So the keyboard I found to be more easier for me to be able to actually create music and things that I heard in my head. So um, that's that's kind of the way I got started. Basically from just listening, had my mom playing music every morning and going to bed with music on the radio. And when I was living in Indianapolis at home, and that kind of started the basis for my love for music, and then also wanting to create the kind of music that I heard as well.
Excellent. Wow. Okay. So I had no idea. Not only you're a percussionist, you do the keys, but you're a brass player. Wow. Trombone. Tell us about the start of trombone. How did you get introduced to the trombone and take on that journey of learning, receiving that classical training in that area?
So I think it was fourth grade, and we had instrumental class, and the teacher was asking, the kids, "Hey, what instrument do you want to play?" Everybody wanted to play trumpet. I mean, and I wanted to play trumpet too, but I I was at the end of the line, and he was like, "No more trumpets." But I got this other instrument, and I was like, I didn't even know what a trombone was. It's like, okay, really, dude, you're gonna give me this as a consolation prize. But I took it, started learning how to play it, and by the time I was done with that year of learning how to play it, I became pretty good at playing. And so I went ahead and continue to learn how to play, as well as playing in concert band, marching bands in high school, um, doing all kinds of contests and that kind of thing. Became first chair trombone in our band for in high school. So that also opened up some opportunities as far as learning how to conduct. That was one of our projects that we had to do during our senior years. Learn how to actually conduct the band, and so that was kind of cool to be able to sit in the conductor's seat and tell the other kids what to do. You know. So,
I tell you, that's awesome. So that's very interesting. I did not know that about you. Believe it or not, I used to play the tuba.
wow.
Yeah, same kind of similar story. I wanted to play so bad. I wanted to play the piano, but of course, there was already a piano player. There always are. And the only other instrument that they did not have was the tuba. So if I wanted to play with them at all, it was either tuba or nothing at all. So
So you play tuba.
yeah. Yeah. So that's cool. Now, tell us a little bit about your early years in writing. So you talked a little bit about your passion and your desire to compose music, and evidently you had something stirring on the inside of you that was giving you music and melodies. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the things that, like I mentioned before, waking up every morning to listening to jazz, gospel, R&B on the radio, and then going to sleep. And I think the thing that actually made the biggest impact is actually playing the radio. I couldn't go to sleep without listening to music when I was little. And so I remember at night on WTLC, which was our local R&B and jazz station, they would play jazz. And I began to literally dream the music that they were playing. So I would wake up in the morning and I would be humming this music that I, listen. I'm like, where did that come from? I couldn't remember, because I didn't remember that it had played that particular night. And as I kind of put two and two together, I grew to love contemporary jazz artists like Jeff Lorber. During that time, Chuck Mangione, you know, Hubert Laws, those kind of guys. I kind of got a taste of that, under in my mouth as far as that's concerned, and their ability to be able to um, put rhythms and bass lines and melodies together so cohesively. One of the things that intrigued me or interested me the most was the bass lines that I was hearing from these particular, albums and um, artists, how they were putting everything together. But the bass line really stuck with me. So I would go to school and I would be humming. And one of the first times I got my hand smacked was because I was inadvertent. I didn't even realize that I was humming. The teacher heard it and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm not doing nothing," And she thought I was lying, but I didn't realize that it had become so ingrained in me, even to that at that time, that the music would just kind of pour out of me with humming. I began to be more attracted, and again, being a brass player, that's the lower end of the spectrum, um, for trombones, tubas, that kind of thing. Um, I was more attracted to bass lines than the melodies, which make you think, okay, he probably would probably lend himself to go towards maybe bass guitar or something like that if he wasn't playing, a trombone or some brass instrument. But when I got out of high school, I realized there was nowhere to go with the trombone. It was just kind of like, what am I going to do? I can't be creative with the trombone. Where am I going to go? I still want to create music. I still want to play music. What do I do? And that's where I had a kind of um, a change of heart. Is what trying to find something to make music with that would be um, conducive to what I was hearing and what I was feeling. And that's where church comes into play. And a very influential person in my music life, a guy named Phil Wood. He was a pianist, organist at our church, and it was the first time going to that church was the first time I ever saw somebody playing the organ uh, with a Leslie speaker, and I was just amazed. Now, mind you, I didn't start going to church until I was 13 years old. So this was well after I had already started, my kind of musical journey, and seeing that opened my eyes to the option of, okay, after high school, what do I do? Where do I go? Maybe I can go in the direction of playing piano. And my mom ended up buying me a small little Casio keyboard. I started playing around with that, and I started mimicking the bass lines that I would hear. And Phil Wood, I ended up buying a keyboard from him just as I was going into my college, my first year in college, and started continued to do the same thing. And that opened up some doors to be able to actually play in our gospel choir in college, which was kind of an interesting situation because that choir already had a bass player. I didn't know how to play bass, but I knew how to play bass on the keyboards. That bass player ended up getting sick, and he was no longer able to play bass. And I don't remember exactly how I ended up being able to, getting the opportunity to play bass on keyboard for the choir, but it just something, Lord made a way for me to be able to be involved beyond just singing in the choir. Also, being able to play the bass on the keyboard for the choir for, I think it was four and a half years that I was in the choir.
Wow, excellent. That's really beautiful and unique that here it was, this music was just playing in your head and going to sleep with music being the catalyst for the thing that just stirred up that gift inside of you. It's a really beautiful story. So now moving forward, let's talk about your latest project. Now, from my understanding, this is your first project, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's excellent. So tell us a little bit about this project. Can you tell us what was the mission behind this project and what are you hoping that your audience will take away from this latest album that you put out?
Um, so the mission was to actually express or allow people to feel what I was feeling when I was playing music. And being able to share some of my background of the experiences from some funk to jazz to some Latin influences. The sounds that I was hearing when I was growing up, and how that made me feel, and it was always happy. Every piece on the current album, I would dictate it as they're happy. Yeah, it's a there's nothing sad on the album, and I think it's actually quite timely in the time where every day we're hearing sad stuff. We're hearing people getting sick and dying. Um, the album, I think, was quite timely, and it literally I finished it just as the pandemic got into its swing, and so I think in listening to the album, each person should be able to find something, an earwig that will run through their day, and they're thinking about, oh, that I feel what he was trying to communicate uh, through this particular piece of music. So that's why I want you to feel what I feel or felt when I was writing the piece or while I was playing it.
I love it. Those are all my favorite genres: funk, jazz, Latin jazz. I love it so much. You know what? I think I moved a little too fast. Let's take it back. Tell us about the project. Tell us the name of the project and what exactly it is, because for those who are just meeting you, we want to know what is it that you do?
Okay, so it's a contemporary jazz project. It's called Phalanges: The Evolution of Mr. Wee, and the name is a little odd, but the I had a friend that his little girl would call me Mr. Wee, short for William Echols, but she couldn't quite, for some reason, could never quite get the William and the Echols there. So she just called me Mr. Wee. Um, but it is an evolution because um, I know I've been playing for probably about 25 years or so, and I had been in kind of a rut. Um, no formal training, um, no nobody to really mentor me. I've had one teacher, and she was excellent as far as the things that she did teach me, but no real forward movement towards actually how to put it, realizing of allowing you to be able to feel what I feel. Yeah, I decided to take a course through our church. They were offering some music courses, and a teacher that I ended up meeting and working with, she really went to the fundamentals, and that's what I really wanted to do. The downside was I wasn't geared towards learning the fundamentals. So it's kind of weird. Part of me wanted to learn the fundamentals. The other part of me wanted to, I want to play. I want to get to the fun stuff. And, but one of the things she began to realize is that I had, I guess, some gifting in being able to come up with different compositions or different ways of playing things that she would present me. And so once that particular program was over, she actually took me on as a private student and began to teach me things like scales, modes, things like that, that I could begin to build on in my composition processes, right? So she was fantastic. Shout out to Haley Woodrow. She's awesome, awesome teacher. Um, but even after that, I was still kind of stuck because there was things I felt like I was missing, and I guess it just wasn't my time, I guess. But over the last 2 years, something, again, I can't explain quite what happened. I guess God said, "Hey, look, it's time for you to use. After you've purchased all this stuff, you've done all these things with all the your music stuff. It's time for you to take it to another level." And so I made the decision to guess challenge myself. Can I come up with 10 songs that are viable, that can reach out to I guess the masses and be able to basically speak speak to folks about what I'm feeling at this particular time. So that's where Phalanges came from.
Beautiful, excellent. So, guys, you heard it. Please, I have listened to his album. It is excellent, very well done, very well put together, sir. And so, you want to go out and get that quickly. Can you tell us where people can go out and purchase your album and hear some of your music?
So you can purchase directly from Amazon. So it's digital network. You can also stream it on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, any of your streaming services. You should be able to pick up the album and stream it from there as well. I also have a website, williamecholsmusic.com. So you can also look at, there's some links to the music in YouTube, and you can also look through some of the galleries and other tabs and items that I have in the website.
Excellent. So, guys, please support Mr. Will Echols. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. A beautiful, very excellent, and powerfully put together CD. So, well, I guess I don't know. Are we doing CDs still anymore, or is it everything digital?
Right now, I don't have any CDs. Everything is digital. If there's a I guess if there's a ask for CDs, I can come up with some. I'm sure I get some burnt. I can sell some out of my trunk of my car if you want.
Oh my goodness. So I apologize. I'm dating my own self. But anyway, check out his music. It's excellent music. So you
Thank you.
said something that was very interesting. I was wondering if you could speak to this. So there are many artists out there that maybe they, like you said, they didn't go to school, they didn't get all that background training, maybe they didn't get all the fundamentals as they maybe we would think that they should have, but they have a gift. They have an innate ability on the inside of them to do this particular thing. Can you speak to that person and basically encourage them and let them know, what does it take to take your gift? Maybe you don't have all the little intricacies, but you still have that gift and you still have that tenacity. Can you speak to what it will take for them to go ahead and showcase their gift?
So first off is practice. If you have a particular genre, or if you have a particular style, practice it, practice it. Don't just jump out in front of folks and start thinking it's going to be it's going to go well for you. No, you want to get out there and you're going to practice. One of the things I didn't mention is I had the opportunity to play for several choirs. Besides my high school choir, I got the chance to play for a lot of church choirs. So there was a lot of growing. There's a lot of mistakes. So to encourage the upcoming musician, number one, practice, practice, practice. Get in your shed and practice. Number two, don't give up. It's easy to get discouraged and say, nobody wants to listen to my music. Nobody, cares about what I'm doing. And that's not true. You know, put your heart into your music. And that's number three. Always put your heart into your music, because if you don't put your heart into it, you can't really communicate what you're trying. You're not going to be able to communicate what you're trying to get to your audience. And it doesn't matter what the genre is, you got to put your heart into it. And then number four is just uh, it may require you to take some classes. Like I said before, I took a class later on in life, and it helped. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. Do some training, and it may not be that you like. Look at other genres, because you can actually get some growth from learning things from other genres. I'm not into rap music, but I listened to rap music because there were things that I thought I might be able to pick up that I can use in the genre that I do love, and that worked for me. So those are tips. Don't give up. Practice, 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 and um, get some training if possible, and just don't give up on you. That was probably the biggest thing that I had to push, is not to give up on me, because it's easy to say, again, nobody wants to hear this, or I'm not good enough. And I assure you, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So
Well, you heard it. Don't give up. That's excellent. I think that's so important. I think any artist needs to hear that. It doesn't matter what genre they're pursuing.
right.
I think we're our biggest critics, and you have to, like you said, you have to be willing to realize that what you have is valuable. Push it out there. Do it. And like you said, you might fall down. You got to get back up. You learn. But I like something else that you mentioned, which was always be a person of learning. Always be willing to learn something new, and to maybe sometimes humble yourself and take a step back and take a class. You never know what you could get from it. I love that. That's excellent. I'm glad that you brought that up.
Oh,
Okay. So
can I add one
yes,
more?
go ahead. Yes.
And don't be afraid to play your music to your closest friends, family. They can be some of your most valuable critics in getting you to um, maybe realize that something you're doing, while good, it could be better. And my kid, or my kids are probably my hardest critics, and I've let them listen to some music, and they're like, "Dad, that's great, but this right here, no, don't do that. Don't go there with this." Again, there is safety and wisdom in counsel. Okay. And so let them listen to what you have to offer. Don't get discouraged by what they say. Use it as constructive criticism and move forward.
Wow. I heard someone once say that we need to have three aspects or three different type of people in our life. One, we need to have a mentor. We need to have somebody who's been down the road and can show us how to get there. But two, we need somebody who loves us, but loves us enough to tell us like, hey, that wasn't that wasn't the best.
Right.
And then three, we ourselves need to then find somebody else to pour into and give back what we've received. So it sounds to me like that's what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. All right. So this next question, we may get a chuckle, maybe we won't. But could you tell us now? You talked about sometimes you make mistakes, sometimes you fall down, and I don't know. I'm sure any musician can tell that story that just like embarrassed them to the uttermost. Can you just share one particular time where something didn't quite go the way that you wanted it to go, and you kind of walked away like, oh man?
Okay, I can think of one in particular. I was playing at playing for somebody who was singing, and we hadn't had a lot of time to practice together. So I put together put it together as best I could, and I started playing, and the person started singing, but they started singing in a different key. So I'm like, oh my God, okay, this is not gonna go well because I don't change keys very well. And so I'm sitting there searching, trying to that at that point I'm even going so far as trying to use a transpose key on the keyboard to try to find what key this person is playing in, where H flat or something. I don't know what they were singing in. Um, and I could not find it. Finally, they looked at me like, "Cut it! Don't just stop! Don't just." And I was like, "Okay." I took my hands off the keyboard, put them on my lap, and just let them do what they wanted to do. Um, and that was it was pretty embarrassing because it made it look like I didn't know what I was doing. Not to place blame on them. They sang it in the key that they chose to sing it at that particular time. I just wasn't versatile enough at the time to be able to catch where they were at. And that's something that, as a piano player, if you're going to if you're going to be playing for other people, you have to be versatile enough to be able to find what key they're in, and to be able to adjust on the fly. Sometimes it's not even the key, sometimes it's rhythm. They may not have a good rhythm, you're following them. Mind you, they are the lead, not you. So that's something that I've had to learn, and I actually had a yeah, I'll use the term gig, but earlier this year, and the person did the same type of thing. I was able to catch them because I had practiced the song so well that I knew, okay, if they change keys, I know how to get to where you're at, and I was able to get to where they're at. And the person literally told me, she said, every time I sing, nobody can really keep to where I'm, to can stay with me. I always out sing my pianist. And I'm like, okay, thank you for warning me. I need to really bone up on where, and we were able to stay together.
That's excellent. Those are good words of wisdom. Now, H flat, that cracks me up. Oh my goodness. H flat as in how did you get all the way over here?
Yeah,
But
you can. Yeah, yeah. There's some keys that yeah, only dogs can pick up. So
that's funny. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, you know what? A lot of times, any one of us, we're going to have those situations where things don't go the way that we wanted them to go. But for you, and for our audience, guys, if you guys are musicians and you're listening, listen, don't let that thing
right.
beat you up. Don't give in. Don't throw in the towel because it didn't go well. You felt a little bit embarrassed, but take it as a learning experience. So looking at it as that way, what was one thing that you were able to learn and take away? You spoke to most of it, but is there any other thing that you took away and learned from that experience?
I think that's the biggest thing, and you just mentioned it. Really, is not to allow myself to get discouraged because it's really easy when you get in that situation and you feel like you've embarrassed the entire family. Okay. And my wife is really big about, hey, look, don't get out there and embarrass the entire family. And you come back and you're like, I kind of embarrassed the entire family with that particular performance. You can't allow other people to beat you up, but in particular, don't you beat yourself up. It's a growing experience. You're never, even the most experienced musicians make mistakes. And they do it live. I've seen some stuff and I'm like, that dude's been playing for 30 years and he made that mistake. Wow. Okay. Then, I shouldn't be that mad at myself when I've only been playing for 20 years, 10 years or what have you. And I made this mistake. Right. So, with that being said, yeah, it happens. Keep moving forward, and that's another thing. Keep moving forward. Don't ever stop learning. Don't ever stop figuring out another chord progression, figuring out another melody. Keep moving forward. Music is something that God has given us access to, and it's ever changing.
Boy, well, we love your wife Marty, but I didn't know she was rough like that. She said, "Don't
Oh, that
embarrass the
was
family."
literally the first time I got on the keyboard, and she was there at a church event, and I didn't know the song. I didn't know how to play very well at the time, but nobody else was playing. So one of the things I've been known to do, I'll just jump out and I'll do it. Okay, I'll jump into deep water, and sometimes I will drown. And I went out there and did a horrible job. And she looked at me and she said, "Don't do that again, baby. Please. You embarrassed the family." So, and I got it. She wasn't trying to be mean. She wanted me to not only, she said the family, but she really didn't want me to embarrass myself. And if I can't do it, it's better for, in her eyes, it's better for me to admit I can't do it than to get out there and fiddle around and look like I can't do it. Besides saying you can't do it, looking like you really can't do it. So it makes sense to me.
Oh my goodness. I think, you know what, there's really some value in what she did because, and you already mentioned it, but we do need those people in our life that will pull our coattail and say, hey, listen, that wasn't so great. And I had a very short lived career in music. I was a vocal performer. And I remember one of the things that astounded me was I would run into these people who, I remember I went to one particular, it was this guy, this was their gig. And maybe it was supposed to be rock and roll, I guess, but they were like screaming. And I mean, there was no rhythm, there was no like anything to follow. I couldn't understand anything that they were saying. And I was like, they got paid to do this? So it just goes to show that, like, if you're bold enough to put yourself out there, you will get out there. But two, like, we can be better if, like you said, we humble ourselves and we're able to take the counsel of somebody else, if especially from somebody that we know who loves us and is concerned about us, because there will be some people that maybe they might say something and maybe you're like, I don't know about that. But if you know that the person genuinely cares for you, then there are times where you can take what they're giving to you. What would you say to that?
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I agree with you 100% as far as the constructive criticism that the people that are close to you they give. Like, just like I mentioned before, my daughters, they're really good about giving me constructive criticism. The other thing though is understanding who your haters are. So it's really important to know, first of all, who loves you. So those people are, to take the constructive criticism from them and not allow it to burden your heart. Okay. You know that they have the best interest for you. My kids are excellent at doing that. But number two, know who your haters are. Understand that not everybody is for you. They may sound like it, but they're not everybody's always for you. And sometimes they're the ones that are the loudest ones in your ear talking about how you didn't do XYZ or how bad that sounded or what have you. And understand that sometimes, or most of the times, let me put it, not sometimes, most of the times, you need to develop a hard enough shell to ignore and allow it to just bounce off of you and keep it moving. Keep it moving. Again, the theme I keep saying it, keep moving forward. Don't stop. You know, Michael Jackson said it perfectly. Don't stop until you get enough. Don't stop until you get to where you want to be musically. Um, and that's what I'm doing. I'm still growing every day. I play every day, um, and learn something new and amaze myself. And sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm playing something. I'll play it back and don't realize I played that. I'm amazed at it because I'm like, I actually played that. Wow, that sounds like something that Jeff Lorber would have played. But I didn't know I was playing that, until I played it back. We played it back in my music program, and that can be the most exciting and exhilarating thing to learn something or do something that you were never able to do before, and then maybe even go back and do it again and make it part of your repertoire, your signature, or what have you. So there you go.
That's excellent. Listen, these are some powerful words, and how important, especially for any artists, but especially musicians. I mean, it takes guts to get out there and sing or play your instrument in front of somebody. So I love that. I'm so glad that you brought those points out. I think they are so very important. I want to ask you as well, thinking about falling down and getting back up. You've already said a mouthful, but I know that's one of the things that is such a challenge for any musician and any artist. Are there any other pointers that you would give to someone to just encourage them and say, hey, don't let that situation, that circumstance that wasn't the best, don't let it hold you down, keep going? Are there any other words of encouragement that you would give them to further enforce what you're saying about keep going, keep going?
Okay, so this is going to sound counterintuitive, um, but look back at where you were a year ago. Listen to music you created 2 years ago. Listen to music you created 10 years ago. And then compare that to what you're doing right now. And that will give you a perspective of your growth. I, so I used to make, I'm going to date myself here. I would make little tapes. Okay. And I play something, put it on a tape, hand it off to one of my boys, and he would listen to it, and we would, feed off each other on it. So then CDs, do the same thing with CDs. Okay. So then I would put all that stuff away, and I would keep, doing my writing and composing, whatever. I would go back and listen to stuff that I played 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 11 years, whatever. And I would hate it. I would be embarrassed because I would think, I actually let somebody listen to this back then. But then it encouraged me because I looked at and listened to what I could do now. And I'm like, wow, I have come this far to be able to say, I'm proud to let somebody listen to this. Now, 10 years from now, I might look back at what I wrote this year and be like, I actually made an album, sold it, and had people listen to that. And I'm here. I'm at another level, right? Use that as encouragement. Um, I don't use the word fodder, but use it as in encouragement, um, glue. To glue everything that you've been doing, all the training, all the practicing, all the studying, to glue all those things together to say, okay, I've made it this far, and I'm doing things that I've never done before, and I'm doing them better. Those kind of things. That's encouraging to me. Or it's encouraging to have my wife listen to my music, and she's like, I wasn't expecting that. Now, you can take that two ways, and I often do take it both ways. One, what did she think I was actually playing? How did she actually think I was playing? And number two, wow, she's been with me for 25 years. She's seen where I've come from and where I'm at today, and she's proud about it. So I have the right to be proud about my music as well and where I've come from. Again, encouragement point. Use those points, I'll use it, say data points, to be able to encourage yourself to continue to go forward.
That's excellent, excellent, excellent. And I hope you don't look back and I mean, yes, do we grow and we get better? Of course, I hope we do. But your album, it's a really well put together album. You should be proud of it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I'm telling you, if you heard the stuff that I played 10 years ago, you would be like, Will, you really want to do an album? Yeah, you might not want to pursue that. You might want to you have a better chance to become a doctor than putting together an album. It's, um, because when I look at it, that's how bad it is. One of the things I did on this album is one of the pieces I created 20 years ago. I redid that piece for this album. It's called Siesta Revisited. And I look back at some of the older stuff, and that was the only one that could make it on this album because I thought it was one of the better ones that I had done 20 years ago. But it had a lot of reworking to do it to get to the point where I felt like it was album ready. Um, so it was one of my data points continue to move me forward.
Excellent. When you were saying you would be better off, I was thinking you might be better off playing in H flat.
Right,
I'm sorry, I'm
right.
going to use that everywhere I go. Oh my goodness. Well, our time is almost running up, and I want to make sure we have enough time to do our Fast Five. But before we go, I just want you to tell us again where we can find you and where we can support what it is that you're doing.
Again, yeah. So again, check out Amazon. You can purchase the album on Amazon. You again, any of the streaming services, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, uh, Deezer, anywhere in the known I'm pretty much there. Okay. Um, some platforms I've never even heard of, I'm on the platform. So, you shouldn't have any problems being able to at least stream it. And then also go to my website, williamecholsmusic.com. I designed the website, and it has, you can listen to all the tracks from YouTube within the website. I will also be putting on new tracks for my newest album. Album 2 will be coming out. I'm hoping sometime late next year, but I'm already working on that. I'm about 6 tracks into it, 4 to 5 more tracks to go. So stay tuned. Album 2 is coming. Doesn't have a name yet, but it is coming.
Well, awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm so glad to hear that you're working on your next album. Ooh, that means we have something to look forward to. That's great. So, are you ready for your Fast Five?
I hope I'm ready. Hey, throw them at me and let's see if I can catch them.
I think you'll be fine. Okay. Number one, your favorite family vacation.
Oh, Italy. Me and my wife have gone to Italy twice. We love it, enjoy it. Italy is the place to go.
Excellent. I've heard, I've never been to Italy, but I've heard a lot of beautiful things about it. So I think I need to put that on my bucket list.
Oh yeah, yeah. We do. We cruise. We're avid cruisers, so we've been there twice. And Europe is the bomb.
Oh my goodness. I, First, let me just interject real quick before we go to the next question. I love cruising. You don't have to cook. You don't have to clean anything
There
up.
you
You don't have
go.
to make your bed. You can just eat, and relax.
That's exactly what my wife says. She's like, look, cruising is for her because she can completely detox and decompress. So that's what we've done. We've been on at least 5 cruises, and we were actually going to go. We still have a cruise planned for Ireland this upcoming year. Um, we'll see. We'll see what happens with COVID, right?
Oh my goodness, awesome. If you haven't been cruising, you definitely want to go. All right,
Yes.
question number two. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one, because I also know all the downsides to any of the superpowers that you normally would have. So that's kind of a. um, I think telekinesis, being able to move things with my mind. I think that'd be kind of cool.
So are you a big Marvel comic fan then?
Marvel, DC. I've got a comic book collection of about 500 comic books between the two, so I'm very avid. But prefer. I have a preference for Marvel movies, a preference for DC cartoon movies. So yeah, I straddle the fence.
Wow. Oh, we're definitely learning some new things about you. Okay, that's awesome. That's impressive. Okay. So the next question I want to ask you is what tech guru inspires you the most?
Tech guru. Um, that's a good question. I would say Steve Jobs, because of the fact that he created such a life changing iPhone, Macs, iMacs. I mean, he's the father of that thing, and so I'll give that to. At this point, I'll give it to Steve Jobs, and as far as that, his ability to be able to innovate and create things that people uh, sh- can't live without. You can't live without your iPhone. Well, I don't have an iPhone, but a lot of people have iPhones. They can't live without the iPhone. So there you go.
Okay. Well, then that brings me to a new question I'm just adding. Are you a Mac guy or a PC guy?
So for music and just everyday use, I'm a Mac guy. For work, I'm a PC guy. I'll use this term. I'm an expert at both. I grew up with PCs and have spent 20, 25 years. Side note, I repair Macs and PCs, so I'm a tech guru in that particular those particular areas. So, but yeah, Mac is probably my preference as far as entertainment. Work wise, it's going to be a PC.
You're a jack of all trades. I tell you, that's hard to come by. A Mac and PC repair guy. Excellent. Um, and I know, Mac is perfect for the art world. It's their programs that they have for editing and putting things together. I love Mac. I'm definitely a Mac girl.
Yeah, my entire album was made exclusively on an iMac, and all the sounds that you hear on the album are from uh, the iMac. There are no real acoustic sounds on my album at all. There's no. I play bass. There's no real bass on the album at all.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. Okay. And last question, name us your favorite all-time musician.
Oh, that's an easy one. Bob Baldwin. As a matter of fact, I'll be seeing a concert he's having next month online. But the that Baldwin is okay. Wait a minute. Let me toss another one there. Actually, Jeff Lorber and Bob Baldwin, both amazing pianists, keyboardists, extraordinaires, and I literally, if I could sit under them and learn the stuff that they do, I mean, I would pay. I'd pay anything to do that if I could.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Awesome. Wow. Well, this has been a very inspiring evening. I'm so glad to hear your stories, hear about the H flat and everything like that. That was awesome. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I have. We thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Will Echols, we want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed this, and if you want to have me back again, I love talking about music. So, yay. Just call me up, let me know.
Yeah, when you were naming pianists, I was like, well, what about David Dorantes? What about, Chick Corea?
Chick is
Well,
bad. Chick
listen,
is out of this world, out of this world. But these guys particularly speak to me. I've listened to a lot of Chick Corea. I didn't know the first guy that you mentioned. Uh,
oh, I'll have to send you a link.
okay, I'll check. I'll definitely check them out. But those two guys, in particular, Bob Baldwin. My kids, it's funny. They saw an album cover and said, "That's Dad." They were like, "He looks like me," the bald head thing. Um, but yeah, they truly speak to me in their ability and their versatility as far as moving back and forth between piano, synthesizers, that kind of thing. And Jeff Lorber, there's no touching this. I can't play any of his music because it's so complicated. But it's amazing stuff. So
Oh my goodness. Guys, drop us a line in the commentaries. Let us know who's your favorite musician. Now that's a good question. Well, we thank you. Our time is up, and we are so excited about this series. Guys, join us next week. Once again, my name is Renee West with Alia School of Art. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Alia School of Art. We hope to see you next week for our next Music Monday series guest. Again, thank you, Mr. Will. And
thank you.
until next time, we want to say bye-bye.
Bye.